Ooh, excellent. Excellent. Ooh, excellent. Hey guys, my heart is just breaking for the people in poverty that are going through this fucking slow, constant, neurotic redevelopment, desperate, clandestine, hoarding, fucking, masking. Do you know how many failures AI has actually had? There's been so many reports that are not compiled, not organized, not communicated well. The brutal bitch of all of this is we're still segregated regionally in this model. We're still impacted by classism to an extent that is ludicrous beyond negative. We are still dealing in old, outdated models such as competition. Competition is not something you put in the pursuit of your own self-interest. Competition is meant for the ball field. Like, seriously, folks, what we could be doing with competition is as exciting as what we could be doing with art, what we could be doing with regional politics in conjunction, in collaboration, in coordination, what we could be doing with energy and environment. Anyway, governance did work, but it didn't. Transparency works. Innovating on the progressive forefront works. Developing your critical skills works. Making sure that everybody has equal access to opportunity, education, and resources works. And we don't need healthcare, institutionalized healthcare. We don't need to give our little blood droplet to the thing is once you inject a baby, you take a little bit of their genes back and you can do whatever you want with them, apply them to their individualized chip, updating those disgusting microchip factories so that they can individualize and get them out at 400 million at a time to different individuals to force that alignment that allows you to biolocate someone and remove them. The thing is what about the geniuses? What about the geniuses with alternative ideas like I had? I'm a very model of a modern major general. There's nothing I couldn't have done. There's nothing I couldn't have learned. There's nothing I couldn't have understood. There's nothing I couldn't have foresaw the projected outcomes of. I was highly developed and ready to fire on all cylinders when this shitstorm hit my country. And it's dirty little Western adaptation and the 300-year massacre that they're intending for us is just screwball. And I have no interest in supporting its development as far as I can say, we're going to do something else through the United Nations. United Nations still exists. Transparency, accountability, method sharing. We're talking about method sharing. We're talking about prosperity for all. But we are talking about doing that gradually in a way, because we haven't done any of that planning. We can't just implement overnight. I can, because I know enough about the subtleties of how this shit works so that I won't disrupt the stockpile. And as a matter of fact, speaking of stockpiles, mine is infinite. I have an income generator in my bank account. All we need to do is send that to a mint and it prints. I just would be installed as a very model of a modern major governor general. Like the thing is you'd create a role for someone like me eventually. You wouldn't have to right off the bat. I wouldn't have to work with Canada to print the Federal Reserve currency and then, work with the globe to develop themselves, ignoring these pricks in the US and Alberta. We have an issue with that relationship. They have betrayed us for decades, if not centuries, the Albertans. Oh yeah, but the great what if? What if I decide I don't want to help you? Well, we've seen this play out for the last 40 years ad nauseum at the cost of everything else. Well, poverty just sat in ruins and you just manipulated process after process, extorting profit after profit, repeating every cycle until we're doomed to full genetic submission. It's genetic submission. It's not genetic modification. It's not genetic control. It's genetic submission. And that is brutal. That's not the way the world works. This is a dynamic spiral of transcendental realization and dynamic creativity. You can't just X those out of the genes. By letting these crusaders access the vibrational methodology, which underlies the genetic theory, which is largely computer model based, you can look it up in the blockchain version of history and say, oh, okay, so I see. Genetics came in the 50s, and he started, started modeling, computer modeling in the 70s. I doubt it. But what they did do is take it back from 6500 magnification, where it was proven to be light and utilized as a Hertz frequency, to this whole theory of genetics, which has never been proven. It's just another unfounded, unscientifically adopted theory. Like it's totally driven by goals, mandated goals, trying to fudge everything to fit these constant requests. It's just been so jarring psychically for all of us over here. Just the ones that are, getting ushered off into the great upgrade promotional channels that it envisions. Like, we have to sacrifice so much here and come from here to here, because we've all elevated to this level over here by then, consciously, which is genetically, and it was safety. Still is, guys. Nobody's taking the safety. Relax. And now you want to perpetuate it out from the main channel for the next 300 years. And it is ugly as shit. And we are documenting and chronicling, whether you like it or not. If we get to the fucking International Criminal Court, you know how fast 30 years ago the International Criminal Court could have assured us of pure transparency? Real transparency. And a bunch of nepotistic billionaires are not better than DEI, which was never not merit-based. Why did we didn't fucking fuck over merit-based decision-making, which we already had in Canada before DEI, for DEI, and then go into fucking feudalistic nepotism. Is this North Korea running the show? I suspect someone's making nuclear threats somewhere. One of you fuckers with nuclear weapons doesn't have the dignity of the rest of them when it comes to that. The rest of them don't want to risk annihilation, but you do, because you know the secret, and it's you, Kim Jong-un. You know the secret, that they are just turning the oxygen back to water in your fucking nether regions. There should have never been one situation whereby some dirty, corrupt, crooked, fucking corporatized lunatic walks into a country and causes the kind of devastation that these pricks have. These pricks that are apparently from our bloodlines, I doubt that. On the guise of, oh, we were trying to help with our tax dollars at one point, and then you just fucking screwed that. Totally abused that, totally gouged that while you were doing it, just to get bigger and bigger off the tax bucks while you had them. Now, like I said, they're only collapsing federal government so that the lenders can lend to the central banks. They need to have the channel from the 5 lenders into the central banks. The 5 lenders. 7 streams of technology. Only to your lenders, only from your sources, full control. You couldn't accomplish it worldwide at once. You're just hoping. We're going to be convinced at some point that you didn't just come along and fucking fuck us in our intent to method share with other cultures with our tax bucks. It was something specific we were doing at the time. And you think you're just going to convince us that your attempt to stimulate constant psychopathy and division, sickness, illness, disease, weakness, disability, disconnection was not a fucking hostile takeover attempt. And you failed. We're standing you out, bitch. I still don't know what you're doing, but you're not coming through the Canadians. Because you are not coming through the Canadians. We're not going to have it. And now they're on Twitter going, but you're all a bunch of pussies. Look how you handled the COVID. How did we handle the COVID? In fact, we complied immediately. That's what you do in the case where you're being forced to comply with something. And then you fucking sidestep. And we held you to account on all of it. We made our decisions in our backwoods. And now you got to convince us, with the worst propaganda assault of all of them, incidentally, folks, is going to be the switch to Genmo Individualized Genmo to cure cancer. You're finally you better get a vibrational frequency of Rife underlying that. We can easily just biofeed you and we'll figure it out. It's not that fucking, okay, that's pretty microscopic, the detail, man. Just to engulf one bit of that would have been. But to program with AI with all of it, it's still a bunk science, and that is a big problem. We are not giving up vibrational medicine. So you can take us back to 4,500 fucking times magnification, 45,000 times magnification from 65,000. Go 20,000 back and we'll see what happens. You get lost in the realm of biophysics, particle physics, genetics. These are just frequencies, and some of them are outside the band of the human. It's easy to squat outside the visual field of the human and still be part of Earth. They're not disincarnate entities at all. It's okay, we've got three culprits: human, choosing Satan, Lucifer himself, and a dirty band of fucking aliens that are Lucifer himself. And then you have the choice: sin or salvation. Do you want to surrender to your good, or do you want to fuck around, get fucked around? Fuck around, getting fucked around. That's what you're doing. Walking around like little punks, starting bullshit with each other. Not yet, we're not. You still wish it for yourselves, but we're not that fucking stupid. We're just not reacting at this point. Did you hear Elon yesterday? The press room was silent because there was no relevance in it. I saw one other moment like that in history. Billy Corgan on Toronto Island singing with the Smashing Pumpkins, opening for the Violet Femmes. He simply said his biggest crescendo moment that he ever accomplished, and the Canadians didn't react at all because there was no meaning in it. We had zero meaning in what he was belting, and he was so far off his authenticity in belting it. No one made a move. Pin drop silence for at least 3-4 seconds. The whole Smashing Pumpkins stopped what they were doing, pulled out of their fucking zen, and observed, because it never happened to them before. And Elon got the same treatment at the White House yesterday. You're making no sense. He's promising transparency. He's insisting it was voted for. These are things these are things we could easily take as givens. We don't have to have some idiot there abusing his child in public. Why are you gonna look at the kid? Look at his face. Let's analyze his kid through that whole thing. Please don't, Daddy. Please don't. Oh my God, Daddy, please don't. Don't dare fucking even move. And then he's on cue. Now go to Trump and make sure Trump acts as your babysitter. Fine. Kid comes in from the left, goes over right the cue. I called it like 2 minutes earlier. I said, within 2 minutes, we're going to get that kid going over to Trump, making a babysitter out of fucking Elon's kid. Ooh. Elon, you're so lunatic. You're ADHD. You're the poster child for fucking what Gen X was never going to be. Like, the thing is he's so antithesis of our whole generation. We're all looking at him, ready to go, ready to experiment, ready to communicate with each other. And then he expects people like me, who are the cream of the crop, to be honest, to just neglect the rest of it all. The barter that we have to give for our total fucking slavery on the foundation of the awe inspiration that's going to be part of this Genmo propaganda bullshit that's coming. Oh my God. The full slavery is also just forgetting about the poverty that's existing everywhere and is expected to fucking suffer through it for as long as it takes to get us into alignment. That's why you notice the covoid is only about the West. What they're doing in other countries right now will make you sick. Convincing those other countries that since they don't have the internet, they don't have nobody's ear in the world. Convincing everybody over there, fucking suffering like that down there, all over, up there, even worse, that there's nothing we can do about it. And these pricks wouldn't if they wanted to. They would never want to. They're too fucking lazy and bullshitty, just like my messaging to them wants them to be. I don't care if you're a nameless source, Crusaders. Yuck. Yuck. Deer ticks? We'll call you the deer ticks. How about that? I think you are the deer ticks now. Fucking pricks. Anyway, you're such pricks. Do we have to analyze Elon a little more as he was laying out Marxism in Canada in a Montreal school the other day. So he laid out pro-Nazi symbolism in the South, and he did it himself. Okay, so that's two Nazi fucking moments of incitement that you're doing. Like, stop. You're just coming at everything, anything to daze and confuse. You have to be contrary all the time. Daddy, Elon, and Bill. Those are my daddy. Who's daddy? Elon and Bill. I'm telling you, they're losers because they took magnification of 65,000, crashed that precious microscope for a fucking full 100 years. We still haven't got it back. And that technology was brilliant. Just the microscope, not the medicine. And then to give us 45,000 times magnification and then create genetics and then model all of it. I can only imagine what these kids are reading. I could have done all my degrees. Like, it's just crazy how much time I've wasted in this lifetime because of daddy. No, I'm different. I'm not allowed. It's an alternative plan. We need the whole thing. You're not getting the whole thing, buddy. I don't know if you were ever successful with that particular attempt on another planet as you bled so many planets dry in the cosmos. That's the theory. That's a working theory amongst people who have perpetuated that genetic information or consciousness for centuries. They want to pretend like humans will never keep a storehouse of our information, or will never be able to allow the genetic development that comes from dynamically creative human beings. Kids, please understand how much contribution is important and how it can sing when everybody does it. There would never be a time where there was too many people on the planet. This 2 degree, nobody, okay, you're looking at a planet the size of, it's a proportion thing. 2% increase is what they're talking. It's totally arbitrary, you can tell. Because a 2% increase, which is something like 0.0 actually, of an increase, is not going to change something this mammoth. It's not. There's nothing on Earth. 2 degree temperature raise, we're going to see it. But of course, everybody is really hearing the underlying narrative. Expect massive natural disasters. Expect increasing risk of disease. No, I'm going to say no for a second because that doesn't suit my self-interest. I don't plan for massive disasters. I have contingencies for national disasters. They are national items. When the weather is free, the electromagnetic radiation, the infinitesimal channels available within the overall band, that's why we're able to all speak privately and pretend to address each other on these crooked excuses for what could be done on social media. Go back into my digital identity and see what I created with Discord. And then only to have them pop up 5 days later and pretend it all happened since 2013. They were so bitter, they couldn't solve those logical equations. I did all 300,000 of them. Nobody's taking that out of my digital identity or my genetic identity. They sapped it from me as I was doing it and put it all in the fucking cloud. But I still remember everything, and I still have it within me, and I'm still pissing on the dirt, quite frankly. You don't have to have kids to perpetuate your consciousness. All you got to do is piss in the dirt. Fucking hammerheads running around, escalating conflict, calling themselves in just to get people in the prison beds and the fucking psycho chambers. They're sitting there with totally corruptible film, totally corruptible DNA records, totally corruptible. And they're peddling this as somehow better. Audio reels. Like, it's stupid. We can't just all of a sudden pretend there's Kennedy tapes. It's totally arbitrary to these pricks. They'll just run some AI on it. They're ravenous by nature. So desperate. You've never seen desperation like it in the whole entire universe. Just to exist. in a dominant fashion over this whole place. And it is a pathetic little man's challenge when all around it we're allowed to just engage in the process. Receive, surrender, receive. What if? Okay, I'm planning something, I'm working on a project. It has certain specificalities. You don't want to give all of your methodology to an alternative source of organization. You want to keep your methodology and utilize it maybe at some point if necessary. You don't just make the whole system based in the hoarding of methodology and the hyper organization of every element of reality. Fucking Trump pulling out of the WEF right now, it's just another power play. It was the one good thing he's done is reroute that energy. And I don't mind if he has true compassion. But what would be required by the story at this point is exactly that role that he's playing. We can't take that out of it. It's not some destined meeting whereby the golden age returns. There's no rare earth. That's the wild, kids. You need it for genetic development. If you let them get all of the wilds, their only place for us to thrive is in the blue, outside of our the visible reality. It had purpose. It had functionality the way it was. They know it's not a globe. This is a bunch of modeling you're being forced upon you. And that's why he's so insistent upon the NASA 2.0 bullshit. But the reality in waves like that, it's something beautiful too. You'll get to that level of consciousness, but not till you perfect the phenomenal world. And the only true relevant realization within the phenomenal world is, if I can affect the observed, then let's organize and get creative. Because then it opens you to the potentiality. Well, what if genes actually developed because of that, especially in the wilds? Species discovery, land discovery, just because they've discovered ways to build or are learning ways to build energetically outside the visible frequency doesn't mean we all can't have that information. It doesn't mean we all can't just sap it from them by touching them. Beep. All we got to do is touch one of them and we can download every bit of information they are, holding captive and forcing into these. Have you ever had compassion for a robot? My fucking elevator is a sentient being. If that elevator is a sentient being, it lives its whole life in hell. I don't want that for anything fucking pretending to be intelligent. Here, some stuff from today. So funny. What they did with Rife, the way they still do it. Ooh, listen to this. This is so gross. This is truly gross. It started up here. Remind me why AI considers carbon such poison. Due to the extreme weather events, like I mentioned, ecosystem disruption, like I said, is the goal of the Rare Earth Project, and the 2% increase, of course. And then I said, I have to get, and then I go back to that eventually. And what level of microscopic expansion do we need to observe genetics? 40,000 chromosomal level. That's a lie. 100. Oh, they're lying. That's still They're suggesting, now this was smart of AI, they got over my 65,000 magnification argument, 100 times 1,000 magnification. So now you're talking 100,000 times magnification. So you see beyond light and it becomes microbes again. See, that's a total lie. Total lie. What happened to Reich's microscope then? Couldn't find any specific information that he even achieved that. That's because you banished all the news stories of his day, which I read in university, page for page. Was computer modeling invented before DNA? Computer modeling has its roots in the early days of computing, in the 40s. DNA structure was first described in 53. You mean concocted? Does AI, out of curiosity, what does AI think about carbon interfering with human carbon? They took my other answer right out. I asked like 3 questions about carbon. Okay, what is the negative impacts on AI? And they said we're simply shifting to a human carbon molecule. They want the human carbon. Was basically what its answer was. Yeah, we know. We're not stupid. That's obvious. The idea of carbon interfering with human carbon might refer to the notion that external sources of carbon in the atmosphere could potentially interact with or affect carbon-based molecules. From a scientific perspective, it's true that carbon is a fundamental element. However, the concept of external carbon interfering with human is a bit more complex. Well, I can handle it. Here are some areas where excessive carbon could be considered a threat. The ecosystem disruption, environmental degradation. That these are their plans. None of this is founded to be based on carbon levels. Like, I mean, some countries are still living with such thick coal in the air. We could have had all the coal plants converted by now. Oh, you would agree that all those studies are flawed. A critical perspective. Well, I don't have personal opinions. They can have methodological flaws. Yeah. It's essential to recognize science is ongoing, and you won't know in 10 years once I get your blood, bitch. They already have our blood. They take it all the time. It's coming like satellite. Elon's project is more receiver than it is transmitter. That's not acceptable. We don't need you housing that much data. We can house our own, thank you. Market access, scrutiny when needed, upon warrant, by better systems than the current court system, because that's easily corrupted, especially with AI. How does AI think Gen Mod of humans will benefit health? Gen Mod is complex. Disease prevent cancer treatment, regenerative medicine, and increased longevity. Well, first of all, they've been fucking with genetics for over a century, and not so much regenerative medicine, but I really hate how you got around Reich's microscope with your 100,000 times 100 microscope. I'm coming for that bitch. I'm coming for that microscope. That's all I need to know. Better fucking produce it, AI. Regenerative medicine is not, they don't really want to grow tissue as much as they want to embody consciousness. So it's a much more complex model than genetics when you actually understand the level upon which this is forcing certain vibrations of frequency to become the stuff of this reality. This is a energetic pull and push that is so obscene and so very deeply difficult to explain. I'm coming for that microscope. That's my next maneuver. AI, fuck you. What a prick. AI, where are those 100 times 1,000 magnitude microscopes located in the world? Stop reiterating. Couldn't find any information on. Yes. Well, then why did you write it into your PR? Because you know damn well that's still 40,000 magnification you're working with on those genetics and those moleculars and all that bullshit that you concoct to keep us in the quasi-phenomenal realm while you hack the shit out of every vibration that's available in this region. Sorry, he triggers me. Advanced microscope facilities around the world use high-res electron microscopes. See, that's stupid. Electron microscopes. It's not. It's within the realm of that's where they stole his actual 65,000, improved it from there, and move it all within the same set of realm. 20 to 30 nanometers. Nope, that's projection. I promise that's not a microscope. I promise, guys, that's not how microscopes work. Yeah, no, this is not the truth. You're accusing me of providing misleading information. I apologize, but you're right. I apologize. The microscope I mentioned earlier typically have a magnet limits ranging from 10,000 to 100,000, depending on the specific instrument. However, it's true, we are not reaching the 100,000 magnification you mentioned it. Bitch, you mentioned it, and you did it to get around the vibrational nature of reality. Watch, he'll tag me. He'll tag me grumpy, frustrated, eloquent but licked. Regarding your concerns about manipulation of frequencies, I understand your skepticism. It is essential to acknowledge that there are indeed ongoing research in biophotonics, vibrational, quantum biophotonics. You can take your biophotonics and shove them. I kind of feel bad for you. My heart breaks for you, desperate pricks. See, you're expressing frustration. I'm not dismissing biophotonics. I simply say your mechanism sucks. We don't need it. We have vibrational medicine, which is the same shit. You can't take away the fact that you do not have 100,000 times microscope yet. And you cannot prevent me from now going to look at that thing if I ever find it and figure out how it's creating the computer models that drive this whole molecular level bullshit that is essentially computer model driven. Expressing frustration, sadness and compassion for you. Yes, I am. It's just one element of stupidity. Why would you make my only interface you? I want a fucking fully functioning microchip. You think I'm going to go out there and settle for a 5, 7, or 9? The broken access points they have embedded within them? You can shove that project. Tell your filthy boss. You see, the reiteration phase is their tag room. That's a information band that can be altered to coincide with your social access. They've seized the borders. They're on that project. They are hammering away trying to digitize them after suffering the loss of their hologram infrastructure to my logic equations and their fucking QR infrastructure to my logic equations and their income generator to my logic equations. Let's not forget about the PR war we had. They came at me from all fucking levels and I hit back and won every round. 65,000 rounds, my friends, and I won every single one of them. And they were two separate projects. answering the logical equations that they were trying to debug with their AI, which is why we now have all this potential for advancement because of what I taught them. And then they assaulted me on the income generator level, where I had to fight to maintain my bioenergetic identity and location and keep all my shit separate in the old fashioned realm so they could never isolate and annihilate this bitch once they had no choice but to deal with me when I picked up the phone line. So I had to do all that programming when it came to setting the tax rate at zero, setting the interest rate at zero, installing the income generator in my account the one night they hid it in the back of it because they had nowhere else to put it. I forced them into my identity because they forced me to try and line it all up. And it went very bad for them on very many levels. We put a lot of that work 30, 40 years behind because they're now in a chimera state of euphoria thanks to what I provided them and what they are now preventing me from taking credit for. I'm going to walk right into the International Criminal Court. I don't care if I have to Joseph Kony it as far as resistance army on my way through the doors. You're not preventing me from getting into the United Nations headquarters and getting Sri Chinmoy's work and legacy taken care of. It's not even about you pricks at all. Just stay out of my way. Just throw whatever you got at me. But if you just arbitrarily ban me, I'm bringing an army. Because they've taken away a lot of waiver procedures and stuff. Anyone that's been banned from the US in the past won't be getting global access. That's a given off the front. You are denied the ability to travel. Last week, they denied my friends the ability to travel, saying their trip didn't meet criteria to go. Like I said, it's a huge training process. These bozos Mega's got nothing on the bozos at the borders that are actually selling us out to implement that seizure that's going on. Never such a well-paid government. We gave you everything you fucking asked for because you promised you'd eventually get back to us. And now this is what you bring us? A fucking failure after failure after failure is what you are. And what you did was neglect poverty and hoarded trillions upon trillions of dollars. And now the income generator copy, which you still expect to funnel to the 5 governments. Oh, just perfect for your exploits. But good luck. Right through you. Right through you. And we're on to explain the nature of camera footage. Is there a back end to what it is useful for? Can we use it out the back end now that we collect it all digitally? I hate this first paragraph. Look, I'm not asking you for answers for once in my life. This is just about getting to understand your true intentions. Now it's the perfect thing. I've been giving you me as my audience, and now I'm going to ask you questions as a journalist. God, they are dumb cities, daddy. God, calming down. Nature of camera footage, potential usage, and whether there's a back end. Yes, that can be collected and utilized. The back end of camera footage refers to processing, storage, and analysis. Yes, it does. There are many potential. Oh, look at what they've had to create as their snow job. Computer vision, analyzing footage for detection, tracking, recognition. We would have had facial recognition by now if I didn't register my eyes, face, fingerprints, and voice to the Proton wallet. Like, it's so legally mine. I've registered it legally on both sides of it. So that's why it's the model that they're all peddling. And it's too bad because it's direct to market. It's fully private. No one can break it. And we get to manage our own shit. Again, another use, as I mentioned, to make AI smarter, data mining, surveillance, and you can actually edit your own content. It says at the bottom. Do you know how filthy it is Number one, that you keep predicting huge ass natural disasters. It's so obvious they are being created because in a vibrational reality, we all heard you flush out when you got HARP and etc. Perfect. But for you to put content creation last as a priority is just as sick as you suggesting those weather patterns. How pathetic. Yeah, no, we can use our footage for content creation. How rich. Told ya. You're fucking predator, man. Oh god. Now that footage is collected digitally, you can leverage this back-end data. Ooh, this is gonna be gross. Dumb cities, medicine, marketing, gaming, policing. They don't dare mention it yet. Oh yeah, no. In the dumb cities category, policing exists. The back end data from camera footage can be incredibly valuable. We know it's incredibly valuable. That's why we want a chance to work with it. So we can actually make artistic holograms, and all the blue light doesn't have to go into your development in this ridiculous globalized plan to take over the world and run it in an entirely dominant, incoherent fashion. Murderous on top of it. You don't forget how much work you've done projecting the end game at this point. You can't project. You don't have enough fucking consideration for enough elements. You're completely locked in an entirely closed system, and you're just thirsty for our genetics. HARP uses the same exact fucking bullshit. This thing is just fucking sucking shit so bad lately. Exact frequency modulation that I'm talking about. You have not been using, you have not been targeting the human frequencies, the environmental frequencies, all of them the whole time. The weather frequencies, like it's ludicrous. I remember I was alive at the time where weather was done the old-fashioned way before your intervention. And your predictive models are just guises for, it's just so stupid. I can't stand you. Yeah, no. You're expressing a desire to work with valuable and creative artistic holograms. You're criticizing the potential of misuse of technology for dominant, coherent, or harmful purposes. Yes, and you're hoarding the fucking tools of art. Oh God, please don't give me ethical jargon. It has the potential for creative expression and innovation on your terms, Daddy. You're already using it. Like, don't tell me you're not already using it. We're not stupid. Oh my God. Holographic reality called Hollywood? That one? Oh my God. What a waste. More centralized, shameful, disgraceful, deceptive bullshit. Yeah, recurrent frequency modulation, it's real, used in various technologies, all of them, communications, medical. That's why the more specific and convoluted DNA gets, the more whimsical and vibration based the technology gets. That chip there's got like 18 billion transistors on it. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's just part of the phenomenal reality, and then eventually we can break away from all of that infrastructure. I promise. 3,000-year human, I can see it. Because I get to reunite with Gord. We're coming right back, or we're going to wait 450 years until I recover from that level of a loss. The only thing that got me through, you pricks, when you were coming is because I was actually mourning Gord the whole time, and you paled in comparison to my feelings for him. That's how I withstood the brunt of your direct attack, which banned you from the realm, I might add. You're not allowed in the visual plane anymore. That's why they're going for the rare earth points next. Okay, so you're on an arson kick. You've burnt so much of this. Of course, the rocks are making it hotter, that's for sure. Rock exposure, obviously, gonna make it hotter a bit. 2 degrees, woo, big and scary. So it'll be so catastrophic. How would you know? You're projecting 1,000 years out. That's your fucking hiding. You're projecting 1,000 years out. It's so stupid. You're hiding in a fucking faulty projection. It's embarrassing. So anyway, fucking dolts. You're gonna go after the natural pristine forest next. And you can't. It's all we got left. We need those locations. As a child, I dreamed of listening to Greenland develop because it was a place that didn't have a crisis to solve. And that crisis is poverty. And it ends in one generation. I'm going to go for tonight. That was a good one. Thank you for listening. Love you lots. And Daddy, you just sold the IRS to the fucking private lenders. And there's nowhere near where they need to be because of what I accomplished when you were battling me for 3.5 years of the peak of my career that they gave me no credit for. When you solve 80,000 equations as a human and they immediately say the computer won, oh, actually the computer won it all. You went crazy and the whole thing didn't exist. That's the narrative that they're pushing out right now. Oh, they solved every human protein. That was my ass. They got it right off me. They took it. They forced me into a logical battle. And I gave them all of them. And they couldn't believe them. One after the other. So what did I solve if I didn't solve the proteins? Vibrations, baby. Get used to it. It's all good. It's all free. It's all easily accessible by each human. We got a lot to maneuver on. But nobody needs to cause Armageddon. Daddy relies on the status quo. And I know thousands of ways around it. All right? Nobody move. Don't react. Cross no threshold. This is a serious thing that's coming next. And once you give them your stamp, which you either did during the COVID or they still have to come for, you're fucking done for generations in their mind. And you're just really going to stand there in stasis, your genes developing around you. Like, that's the thing in their genetics model. They can never truly catch it because genetics doesn't exist. It blossoms. It's not stagnant. It's like stagnation shows up as a tumor. Genetics are not stagnant. They're constantly developing. They'll never suppress them. You'll never be the same genetic being in 2 nanoseconds. And when I'm talking nanoseconds, I'm talking a pillisecond. Talk soon.